Today is Tool Talk Tuesday, and I'm going to be introducing you to a new product. Well, it's not new. It's been around for a long time, but it's new to me. It is door deckers, and this is a spraying system where you can spray doors down that works extremely well from my first experience, and I'm going to be talking about it, giving you some pointers of my use when I use the product, and we'll just introduce you to something new, and it's called Mr. Speed's Door Deckers. This product, right out of the box, here it is, an all steel constructed, door spraying system. Now there are a lot of door spraying systems where you can spray doors up and you can spray them down. A lot of the ones spraying up and down are made out of plastic. This is an all steel constructed device that literally will probably last you a lifetime. Once you buy them, they're probably not going to break, they're probably not going to bend, they're not going to get damaged. You can abuse them, all you want, and you're probably going to have them forever, unlike a lot of the other products out there. So what do you get in the box of Mr. Speed's Door Deckers? You get 6 pair of door deckers that will do 6 doors. So 6 pair. You also get the screws necessary to apply the door deckers, and then you get rubber bumpers right here. You might ask, what these rubber bumpers are for. The rubber bumpers are for down stacking your doors. So how do the door deckers, actually work? There's a handle on one side, if you haven't seen that, a handle on one side. The 2 holes where it's screwed in the bottom of the door, so it's screwed in the top and the bottom of the door of interior hollow core doors. Now, some people, may question, well, you're not going to get paint on the bottom and the top of the door on a hollow core door, but we are talking interior hollow core doors, where typically the tops and the bottom of the doors, and I'll say typically because I think in my entire career on an interior hollow core door, I've never seen the top and bottom painted. Now, if you're concerned about that, when you take the door deckers off, you could paint the top and bottom, but on interior doors, you don't have the weather, you don't have the moisture, you don't have the humidity, you don't have the extreme hot and cold that's going to cause any type of damage to the door or warping or any issues with the top and bottom of the door not being sealed. And like I say, where I come from, I've never once seen the tops of the doors or the bottoms of the doors sealed, and it's never been an issue before. So they apply on the top and bottom of the door, and they stack on top of each other just like this. And when you spray a door, we typically, we're going to be spraying the door using 2 sawhorses. They're going to be sitting on either end. You're going to spray one side, you're going to have 2 people, so it does take 2 people to flip the door and stack the doors. It only takes 1 person to install them, but 2 people, we're going to have 1 person on one side, another person on another side, grab the handle, you're going to flip the door, spray the opposite side, spray the 2 edges. Now you're going to take the door. We use 2 sets of sawhorses, 1 to spray and then 1 to stack. Once they dried, on our sawhorses where we stacked them, we down stacked them on the rubber bumpers. Now, one of the things that I did notice about the door deckers, and I've used some other door spraying systems in the past that stack doors horizontally. And once again, if I'm spraying like really dark colors over light colors, it is really nice and convenient to use a horizontal system because it's just 1 coat and done. You spray it on heavy on one side, flip it, spray it on heavy another side, flip it, and you're done. You don't have to do any fog coats. But some door spraying systems, they stack, and there's not enough gap in between the system itself to get enough flow and ventilation for the doors to dry in a reasonable amount of time. Now, if you don't have enough gap in between the doors, what happens is the chemicals in water-based paints have chemicals. It has water that has to dry and evaporate. If there's not enough flow, airflow, in that system, it's just like the paint in the can. Like there's a lid on it, it can't dry. And we've actually done doors with, systems systems in the past in the winter in a garage where it was kind of cool inside the garage, the next day the doors were still wet. So you have to use some type of forced ventilation. Even with Mr. Speeds, if you want them to dry faster, use air. But the drawback to using air, you could push any type of contaminants. It could be dust. The fan could pick up dust. Dust could fall out of the air. You could be blowing it through the doors. So we don't like to force dry our doors if we don't have to. One of the benefits to Mr. Speeds is from the first use, testing them out, putting on a heavy black on a white. They dried probably, I think, about 45 minutes. The doors were dry and they were able to down stack. So they definitely have enough gap to have ventilation and airflow flowing through them. Another tip I want to give you when it comes to using Mr. Speed's door deckers, and that is using washers in between the door decker and the door to keep a little gap in separation between the door decker and the door, so you don't get bridging from the door to the door decker itself. If you get paint bridging, when you go to pull this off, it could pull the paint off the door. So you would definitely want to score it. But if you just take a number 6, I bought number 6 washers, and number 6 washers are the perfect size that go along with the screws that come with the door deckers. Just take and put the washers on. You don't put them on the screws first, but you're going to put it through the door decker, put the washer on, and then you're going to screw the door decker on, and that's going to give you just the right amount of separation so you don't get any bridging from the door decker to the door itself, and that way you don't even have to worry about doing any type of scoring. So definitely use the washer. Have those washers with you anytime you're applying the door deckers. Some of the door deckers, I wasn't like consciously tighten them up very tight, and they did have kind of a little bit of play and rock in them, and they would kind of just like rock back and forth. And as you begin to stack the door deckers up higher and higher, the whole stack kind of like would wobble back and forth just a little bit, and that's because there was a little bit of play and the deckers themselves weren't tight enough to the door. Now, when applying the door deckers, I would recommend using an impact drill, drilling them in right to where they get that gap is completely closed, and let it just impact a couple times so they're tight and snug. So when you stack them up, because you can stack them up to 8 to 10 doors high, and if you start to get them up high enough, if there's a little bit of play, there's going to be a lot more play at the top. So eliminate play by tightening up your door deckers tight enough. There are a lot of people that aren't comfortable spraying doors up, because you can get runs and sags really easily in spraying them down. Some people have more confidence spraying them down. Now, whether, you're good enough or not good enough to spray them, up versus down is kind of, irrelevant. Spraying them down, you can actually get more mill thickness, and if you're going from white to black, you don't have to fog coat the door multiple times to get it to cover. You can actually spray it one coat and be done, as you'll see in the video of me spraying a white door to a black color. Now, I couldn't have got away with doing that without getting runs, drips, or sags, in one coat. I would have had to fog coat them once, and then I would have had to coat them one more time, standing up. And that's from one professional painter to another. So there is a time and a place, for spraying up versus spraying down. And I think this was a simple and easy to use tool for spraying doors down. When it comes to spraying hollow core doors, this is a tip you'll want to know and understand before you run into a disaster spraying doors down with any type of system. And that is, hollow core doors will warp if you stack them horizontally for any period of time, especially when you're spraying heavy coats of paint on both sides. the moisture in the paint will actually cause the door to sag and warp over time if you let it set horizontally. So you definitely want to flip them, rotate them, but Mr. Speeds adds these bumpers that are applied where the hinge will go. So you're not putting any new holes in the door. Right where the hinge, you're going to put, two of these on one side. So your doors can go from stacked horizontally to stacked vertically if they're going to be stacked for any long period of time, so they won't warp. So that is a pro tip. Definitely use the bumpers, and I would recommend spraying your doors down, letting them dry, and then down stacking them vertically so they won't warp, after probably at least a day, or I'd even recommend probably same day. Once they're dry, down stack them vertically. And the door deckers, will actually work with them stacked vertically also, like they will work horizontally. So who is behind Mr. Speed's door deckers, the face behind the company? So Mr. Speed's door deckers was originally created by Richard and Mary Speed, who started a painting company in 1979. So they are painters. They eventually began developing this product right here in 1998. So the son Dustin and his wife Christine eventually took over the production and manufacture of the door decker system. And what's kind of cool is Dustin and his father are still painters to this day. So this truly is a product for painters by painters. Now, I'm a big advocate of supporting painters that create products that make our life faster, more efficient, and eventually more profitable as painters. So, if you want to support painters that create amazing products, Mr. Speed's Door Deckers is a product for you.